How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Now, this is something that's very prevalent in the tech industry, especially with software engineers. And I see this a lot with either women that are coming into the industry or younger people that are coming into the industry, which I'm not anymore, but I used to be. Younger, not a woman. I never was. As I was saying, it affects a lot of people. Now, Wikipedia's definition of imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, my definition is a little bit different than that. The ways that I've experienced it has been more like when I'm going into a new job or a new school, I feel like I didn't really deserve or earn being there. And I felt like when I got there, I would be, in over my head, and I would just be laughed out of the building because I had no idea what I was doing, and everyone else was so much smarter than me, and I just didn't belong there in the first place. Now, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I just really wanted to share my experience with you guys. I had 3 particular stories of when I did feel an imposter syndrome, and then a 4th time where I kind of felt it, but I was able to get over it. So I wanted to share my experience with you guys, and honestly, even if it helps one person watching this video, it was worth my time making it. So the first time I dealt with imposter syndrome was actually when I got into grad school. As some of you may know, my background was not in computer science. It wasn't even in anything STEM related. My undergraduate degree was in international studies. And I had taken a couple years of classes to get into grad school, which I got in for a master's program in computer science. And I had done really well in those classes. I had almost a 4.0 and really one of the highest grades in the class for most of those classes. But even still, I was like, okay, this is the real deal now. This is going to be people who have been programming since they were 8 years old. A lot of them were doing a bachelor's and master's blended program. So they were they've been doing this for a while. Obviously, everything went okay because I ended up graduating, and I actually graduated with honors. And I actually, if anything positive came out of having imposter syndrome, I think it actually pushed me a lot harder to study. I knew that I was kind of in a catch-up mode since I didn't have any type of degree in computer science. I didn't have a really strong background yet. So what I really decided to do was I'm going to double the amount that everyone else is studying. So if the average person was studying 2 to 3 hours a day, I would do 4 to 6 hours, and honestly probably more than that. So in that scenario, it kind of helped me out, but it definitely gave me a lot more stress having that imposter syndrome than if I didn't have it. So the second time that I felt imposter syndrome was when I got an internship at Amazon. Now this was actually when I was in grad school. I was in grad school for 2 years, and in between those 2 years, I did a summer internship for Amazon Web Services in Portland. And again, that same kind of fear and doubt started creeping up as I was approaching the start date of my internship. Even though I had already felt it going into grad school, I still let it get to me. And my thought process here was okay, I'm in grad school, but still, so are all the other interns, and these are the people that have been vetted through interviews, and this is kind of the best of the best that I'm going to be competing with. So I start my internship, I'm really nervous, and again, this is something else that kind of pushed me to work harder than I normally would have. And I think the moment that I actually realized that I was wrongfully doubting myself was when I actually started working with a lot of the other interns, and I realized that they were just the same as me. A lot of the other interns weren't even computer science majors. They were computer engineers, or they were electrical engineers. They were really smart, but they didn't have the practical experience that I had gained. So throughout the internship, it was actually mostly them coming to me and asking questions of, how to use specific things from the command line, or can you help me with this SQL query, stuff like that. So overall, again, I was worrying over nothing, and everything turned out fine. Now the third time I dealt with imposter syndrome was when I got my first full-time job as a software engineer. Again, I was doubting myself. Even though I had gone through the grad program, I'd gone through an internship, I was still okay, well, I was an intern before, this is a full-time job. Now they're really gonna expect me to be super smart, and I'm just gonna go in there and not know anything. And again, long story short, that wasn't really the case. But one thing you have to understand is a lot of these companies, especially for either interns or people that are coming in as new grads, they don't expect you to know a whole lot. Especially because a lot of their stuff is built in-house. Say for Google or Amazon, a lot of their tools there's no way you could know it because you would only know it if you work there. They also understand that you're able to learn things when you first get there. For example, I knew an engineer at Amazon. He was full-time, and he had no idea how to use Git. but it took them, a few weeks and it was totally fine. So I guess you have to trust their interview process. Like there's a reason that they wanted you and they picked you over probably a lot of other people. So I think the main thing was just taking that doubt that you have and then just like putting it to the side and not thinking about it. And that's really what I did with my second full-time job, which is where I'm at right now. When I got the job offer and the date was coming up for me to start, I started having those doubts again. And it was just like, I'd felt this 3 times before. Like, I know I'm a good engineer. I know that, I have to trust my background and trust my skills and know that, it's going to be fine. And, obviously it was. And I know that for some people, maybe it's more like the salary, like they don't feel like they deserve the salary that they're having. I know for some people that are younger, like they come out of college and they're making, 100 to 150K as like a 22-year-old. And a lot of them are making more money than their parents or like their professors that taught them. Now they're making more than those professors. And maybe they feel like they haven't really earned it. And I mean, I think maybe for me, it's like, okay, maybe I'm making like 100 or 150K for myself, but what I'm actually giving back to the company is probably going to make them like millions of dollars. So in reality, I'm actually getting less than what I'm actually producing. So I don't know, that's just kind of one way to think of it if you think your salary is inflated. And yeah, that's really my experience with imposter syndrome. I'm sure at my next job that I get, I'm probably going to be going through the same thing. And just having that recent experience of going through it before is going to help me and my future experiences. So with that being said, I hope this video helped you guys just going through my experience. If you have any like concerns or questions about my experience, or if you're going through the same thing, feel free to shoot me a message or leave a comment. I try to respond to every comment. So yeah, the main takeaway from this video would be most likely it's just in your head. Maybe, ask yourself really why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Like for me, it was more doubting my technical skills, and I really should have just like been more like trusting in my skills and my preparation. Like I mentioned, having the imposter syndrome really pushed me to improve my technical skills more. So it was something that kind of was a negative but turned into a positive. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button. It'll help get this video recommended to more people. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.